don't know what my friend is doing. Like, it's not important, but I still want to look cute. Hello. Sorry if you can hear the rain, but also it's weather. So today I'm doing a video for Pride Month. I decided that I'm going to do a video highlighting queer bookstores, majority of which I believe are queer owned. Everything that I know about these bookstores I will say, bookshops I will say. So some of them I don't know a ton about, but I'm gonna say everything that I do know about these bookstores as I name them. I'm gonna name bookstores from all over, but I'm going to start with bookstores in the UK because I do think it's important to read diversely all year round. I do think it's important to support minority-owned, queer-owned bookshops all year round, but because it is Pride Month, I did think this would be a good time to just highlight these bookshops if you weren't aware of their existence. So the first one I've actually interviewed, and I've done the interview on this channel, the Bookish type. So if you want to check out that interview, it'll be linked down below, but it is a queer-owned bookstore in Leeds. It is believed to be, what I was told is it is the only trans woman-owned bookstore in England. So highly recommend checking them out. They have a really good selection, and they have, you know, a lot of different genres. They have a lot of different events that go on there. They have a lot of community support within the bookstore, so it's a really nice place to support because they do a lot of charity events and raise money for local queer people. So that's the first one. The second one I have talked about before, Portal Books in York. I've been there before. It's a really nice little bookshop, queer bookshop, and they also have a cafe upstairs, so that's fun. But that's another thing, like both Leeds and York, they have multiple independent bookstores, and I love supporting all independent bookstores as opposed to supporting like chain bookstores. I think it's really important to support independent businesses. That being said, with York having so many different bookshops, it, you know, can be harder for like a Portal Books to get business because they have a lot of popular bookshops as well. So I think it's important if you can support queer bookshops like Portal Books. Definitely check that out and do that when you're looking to diversify your bookshelf, which I highly recommend doing. Looking at places like this for queer books is, I think, the way to go. There's also a bookshop called Gaze the Word in London. It's in the name of the bookshop. It is a queer bookshop in London. There's quite a few in London. So there's also Queer Lit in Manchester. I believe it is the biggest queer bookshop in the UK. So by that, I've never been, but I would assume it likely has a large selection of books. The ones I've been to, they do have a good selection of books as well. So again, I recommend going to all of these, whatever is closest to you. But it's nice that there is a large queer bookshop to support. So it's not just, you know, I think it could be looked at or thought of like these small businesses are very much considered to be small, but sometimes they are bigger. They're just not a chain business. There's Categoria's Books in Glasgow. There's Lighthouse Books in Edinburgh. There's the Old Curiosity Shop in Plymouth. There's the Common Press in Shoreditch, London. Again, there's multiple in London, very big city, of course. So there's multiple in there. There's Houseman's in London. There's Five Leaves Bookshop in Nottingham. There's News from Nowhere, a radical bookshop in Liverpool. I think it's called News from Nowhere Radical Bookshop. So also a lot of these, they might not necessarily be specifically queer focused. They're more like, I guess, minority focused. But that being said, they also have queer books. So if this is the closest queer bookshop to you, in the sense that it is the one that's going to have the most queer books or has queer owners, booksellers, that kind of stuff, supports minority, then I'm still going to highlight that. These are all on, of course, also lists. I'm going to link down below lists of queer bookshops, so if you're curious to learn more about them, but this video is just kind of to highlight them, some that you might not know about that could be near you. So again, Mostly Books in Oxfordshire. So that I read, Mostly Books set up the first ever Pride in their town. So the first ever Pride event was set up by this bookstore, which is really cool. Juno Books in Sheffield and Round Table Books in Brixton. And Paperclip Books in Belfast, wow, I don't know why I said it so wrong, is another trans-owned bookstore. Those are the ones I have listed for the UK. There could definitely be more in the UK, but those are the ones that I'm aware of. And again, hopefully there's one close enough to you. If it's a town over, I would still recommend, if you can, getting to that get to that town to check out queer book, as opposed to supporting, again, like a Waterstones, which I'm not gonna shame anyone for ever buying from Waterstones. I'm sure, like, I have vlogs in here that shows that I have shopped at Waterstones, and I get it. Like, we can't 100% avoid those chain places, but trying your best to minimize when you buy from chains as opposed to buying from independent businesses to help independent businesses and give back to the community is something I really recommend. And again, just to reiterate, during Pride Month, why not support these queer bookstores? You should do it all year round, but like, if that's what it takes, then okay. So moving on, the next place I looked was the US. So there were quite a few, some from like where I'm from that I had never heard of. So again, that's why I'm doing this video, because I think it's important to highlight these. You might not know of them. So again, there's Common Ground Books in Tallahassee, Florida. There's Hello Again Books in Cocoa, Florida. There's Tombolo Books in St. Petersburg, Florida. So I listed Florida first. I am from Florida. I think it's really interesting because I list also a lot of southern states, which are known as red states. A lot of the time, Florida's been a red state for a while. It used to be a swing state. I wish it was a blue state, but it is quite known for being really bad about banning books and really bad about making policies against minorities. And so the fact that there are still these community places and bookstores that support queer people and queer literature, queer art, if you are someone from one of these red states and you feel hopeless and you feel like there's no space for you, I think that's another reason why it's important to highlight and promote these bookshops, these queer bookshops. Okay, so there's also Violet Valley Bookstore in Mississippi. I do skip to Northern for some reason, but All She Wrote in Somerville, Massachusetts. That one is definitely queer owned. Woman's Craft in Provincetown, Massachusetts. It's a lesbian owned. Red Emma's in Baltimore, Maryland. It's not specifically queer focused, or not specifically queer, but it focuses on left-leaning authors and does have queer literature sections. So A Room of One's Own in Madison, Wisconsin. So Bookwoman, it is known to be feminist, but it is also queer owned, and that is in Texas. So again, another very red state. I don't think it is the only, it might be the only queer owned, but I don't think it's the only queer or left bookstore in Texas, but it was the biggest highlighted one. So Astoria Bookshop in Astoria, New York, which is queer woman owned. Left Bank Books in St. Louis, Missouri. I always want to say Louis because to me that's Louis. L-E-W-I-S is Louis. L-O-U-I-S is Louis. I'm sorry. Black Garnet Books in St. Paul, Minnesota. That one is black and queer owned. Irreverent Bookworm in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Burdock Book Collective in Birmingham, Alabama. We're getting back into those southern states. There's Terrace Books and More in Decatur, Georgia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, sorry. Queer owned and the oldest independent feminist bookstore in the South. So that's pretty cool. Firestorm Books in Asheville, North Carolina. Rothia Book Cafe in Durham, North Carolina. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but again, I will link lists of these bookshops down in the description of this video. There's Fabulous Books in San Francisco. There's Reparations Club in Los Angeles. It is a black queer woman owned shop. There's Main Street Books in Monroe, Washington. There is Kona Bay Bookstore, even in Kailua, Kona, Hawaii. So there's Giovanni's Room in Philadelphia that was bought out by Philly AIDS Thrift. So now it's still a queer bookshop. The whole name now, I believe, is Philly AIDS Thrift Giovanni's Room. Little District Books in Washington, D.C. There's Under the Umbrella Bookstore in Salt Lake City, Utah, even where there's, known for being Mormons. If you feel like, you don't have a lot of support in that community, there is this bookshop, and I'm sure they probably do community events and all that kind of stuff. And if they don't, maybe speak with them and see if you can organize some community events. There's Loudmouth Books in Indianapolis, Indiana. A queer black author actually opened up this bookstore. So there's Queer Haven Books in Columbia, South Carolina. And that's the last one I have listed for the states, but there has to be more, I'm sure. So again, I will have some resources down below that should be able to tell you, to help you look up if there's a bookstore near you as well. So I have some elsewhere. Canada and Toronto has Glad Day Bookshop. In Vancouver, it has Little Sisters Books and Art Emporium. Germany in Berlin has Prince Eisenherz. I probably pronounced that wrong as well. Madrid, Spain has Plastic Books. Switzerland in Bern has Queer Books. So there's in Taiwan a place called FemBooks, and there is a website. From what I understand, it started with feminist literature, but now it also has it's a queer feminist bookstore. So these are just some, and I know that there was some in other countries. I wish I had more time to do more research, but I do have a job and other stuff to do. So again, this is just a little video to highlight those bookshops, because I do again want to reiterate, support queer literature and read diverse all year round. Go to these bookshops all year round, but again, if it takes Pride Month to kind of spur you into action, then I'd rather people be spurred into action. So yes, that's just kind of, yeah, just a video highlighting these bookshops. Again, I will continue throughout having this channel to expand my knowledge and share with my audience what I learn as well about different places, different bookshops. I am still doing, as I talked about, I interviewed the queer bookstore, the Bookish type in Leeds, and I still plan on interviewing more bookshops. I just had to take a break for a bit because of life, but I'm gonna do more, and I'm gonna hopefully highlight more bookshops owned by minorities and stuff, but I do just in general like to support independent businesses, so I'm gonna continue to do that, and I will always encourage reading diverse literature and diversifying your bookshelf, and even genre-wise, but especially right now, reading books by minorities is, you know, if it's the little things that we can do, might as well do it. And also, as I've said so many times, reading a book puts you into someone else's story, someone else's shoes, and can help you be more understanding of different stories. And I think something we really need in this world is more understanding and compassion. So yeah, that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Bye.